Welcome to Talks with Twyla, a podcast where you'll be inspired, informed, encouraged, and empowered. Now, let's get ready for your host, Twyla, and co-host, Sasha.
Welcome, everyone, to Talks with Twyla. I am Twyla. I'm your host, and I am so grateful and thankful that you have tuned in with us today. We have a treat for you. As you know, last week, my co-host and I, Sasha Ridley, we talked about walking into the new you. Part one. Little did we know we were going to have two parts, y'all. So we are here today. Sasha, just introduce yourself as well to the listeners and the viewers.
Hello, listeners and viewers. This week, we're doing something new, Bigger and Better 2021. I am Sasha A. Ridley, and I am the co-host of this wonderful podcast, Talks with Twyla, and you all will be in for a treat today.
Yes. Thank you so much. So speaking of treat, let's jump right into it and share with everyone who we have on today. Our guest today is Mr. Karim R. Ellis. He is an expert transformational coach. He is a powerhouse speaker. He is the member of John Maxwell team and Les Brown Platinum speaker and protege. He is the author of the hit book, GPS My Success, where he inspires an atmosphere of greatness in the lives he connects with daily. He is phenomenal, and I'm so super excited and grateful, Sasha, as well, to have him with us today on Talks with Twyla. So let's just welcome Mr. Karim to the show.
Well, there we go. All right. So I am here. I have arrived. You can see I'm full of energy. I am fired up and ready to go, right? We're ready to kick off this new year, new me mindset. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us on today, Karim. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. So, Sasha, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll just dive right on in with walking into the new you.
Yes. First, I want to welcome you again, Karim. When we had our group call, your energy and delivery of your message, it was so captivating. It was so inspiring and so motivating. So thank you for being who you are and gracing us with that message. I do want to dive right into this book because mine is on order. I should be receiving it to my resident soon. But the sample that I read, I was like, oh my goodness. It's so amazing. So one of the first things that stuck out to me, you talked about how you gave us a story of how, you plug in the address to your engagements and talk about the GPS process. And then you switched it on us to make it relatable. And you said, we have to plug something into our life in order to get something out. And what is that address taking you? What destination is it taking you to? So can you please inform our listeners on this concept, as well as those 5 strategies that we can implement those into our life?
Absolutely. It would be a privilege, a pleasure, and most importantly, an honor to do that. The beautiful thing about the concept you guys are talking about for this segment of the show, we're talking about, for the most part, developing a better me, right? And so a lot of us are almost in rehab from that year called 2020. I mean, 2020 was the year I don't think anybody ever expected. We never saw it coming. For years to come, folks are going to talk about that year 2020. Facts about it, I would love to leap 60, 70 years in the future, jump back into elementary school just to see how they cover the year 2020 just in our history books, right? Kids are going to be mind blown trying to figure out how in the world all this took place in the course of 365 days, right? And so when I talk about the concept of building you, I want you to understand one of my favorite scriptures out of the book of life says, write the vision and make it plain. That means that while I'm here, one of my number one goals is to figure out what's the vision for my life. Now, notice I said the vision for my life, not your life, not your co-host's life, not your boss's life, not your neighbor's life. I'm amazed how often we come onto this planet from kindergarten to 12th grade learning systemized education, because let's be honest, we don't really have any say over the education we receive. It's already kind of spoon-fed and pre-wrapped for us to learn it and go into this world based on what we've been taught, right? But how often growing up did anyone sit you down and said, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? More important, what's your purpose? What's your reason why you're here? What's the reason why you were put on this planet? I don't know about you, but I have rarely had anyone sit down besides mom and dad and ask me that powerful question. Why are you here? So 2 things I want to tackle in this podcast today. Number one, when I talk about setting a vision, I want your listeners, I want your tribe to think about this 2 ways. Number one, I want you to personalize it, meaning why am I physically here? Out of all the people walking this planet, out of 8 billion people, why am I here? What's the reason for my being? What am I called here to serve and do and be and have while I'm here? And then number 2, we can also just simply program in or punch in our life's GPS the things we want to accomplish. So I'm talking about your personal goals, your physical goals, your spiritual goals, your relationship goals, and things of that nature. So number one, the reason why it's so important to put an address in a GPS, I tell people all the time, your life, for all intents and purposes, it mirrors that of a GPS. And let's keep it all the way 100 with everyone on the call right now. Until you decide where you want to go, I'm going to be real. I found that my life was pretty much useless, so I decided to first give it an address. So the very first question I ask people as we leave 2020 and we spring forward into 2021, let's be clear about the address we decide to put in our GPS, because the address we decide not only dictates the destination, but it dictates, number 2, what are the resources we need for the journey? Meaning, when I decide I want to jump over into this place and space as a paid professional motivational speaker, there's a certain level of education I got to acquire. Now, I told you earlier that from kindergarten to 12th grade, I had no say over the education I received. It was kind of pre-spoon fed to me. And let's be real, I was only really graded on my ability to learn, memorize, and regurgitate. That's simply it. Learn, memorize, and regurgitate on cue. A lot of the stuff I learned from kindergarten to 12th grade has never made me money. Unless I'm a contestant on Jeopardy, it's the Daily Double, and Alex Trebek says, something about the War of 1812. That's the only way I can see making money on some of the stuff I learned in my history class. So when I'm clear about the address, so let's just knock this to the side. When I'm clear about vision, meaning where I want to go in 2021, then I can dictate what type of education helps to get me there. In other words, Napoleon Hill says it best. He said, the most successful people in the world don't just acquire education, they acquire something called specialized knowledge. So when I want to dominate the speaking business, I acquired specialized knowledge just about the art of speaking, about the business trade of speaking. When I jumped into the real estate investing world, I acquired specialized knowledge on how to flip houses, how to do a strategic contract, how to do finance flips and things like that to make me dominant in that arena. So number one, vision dictates education. Number 2, vision also dictates the resource we call money. And this is important because everyone I know of wants to have money. But if you could live your life all over again, knowing what you know now, based on what you're trying to achieve, you can go back in time to the age of 18 and reapply the lessons you learned up until this stage in the game. How would you handle your money differently when it came in? How would you handle that income tax return? How would you handle that windfall of cash that comes in? How would you handle your daily paychecks coming in based on what it is you want to achieve? What I learned at the age of 26 is how I spent my money prior to having vision and having an address in my GPS. A lot of times I would literally just blow that money because I had no idea of what to actually do with that resource when it came in. And one more nugget I'll throw out there before we jump into the rest of the concepts in the book. When it comes to relationships, I can't tell you how many times I would live my life on default versus design. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering, what do I mean by default versus design? Let me give an example. I'm sitting here on my iPad, right? And when I got this iPad, it came on default settings. Now, I got the iPad specifically for my real estate business and my speaking business. That means in order for me to use it for its intended purpose, I got to go into the App Store and specifically look for apps that's going to help me achieve that desired end or result. So there's certain apps I put on here like Prezi that lets me do animated PowerPoint presentations. There's certain things I put on here like the Canva app and things like that that lets me to do videos and memes and things like that. But remember, those applications weren't pre-installed. This thing came on default settings. So until I know what I want to use the very technology for, I'm using it by default, not design. What I find with a lot of people that don't start the year with vision, they live their life by default instead of design, and then they struggle and can't figure out why they're not getting to the finish line. Well, you got to figure out based on vision, what's the education you need, who's the coaches, the mentors you need, what resource do you need, what relationships do you need, and that can be in the friend sense, or more importantly, in the romantic sense. I can tell you time and time again about all the relationships that never should have happened romantically if I was clear on what address is in my GPS. And you laugh because you know it's true. You kissed a lot of frogs in your day that never should got a chance to ride shotgun with you on your journey. Had only you known, I'm going here and he's going here. I'm going here and they're going here. They never should have got an opportunity to climb in shotgun and ride with me on my journey and waste my most valuable resource, which is that thing called time. Absolutely.
Hey,
absolutely.
Oh, that was amazing.
That was amazing.
We got a preview of this on our call, but that was, I have so many questions. I was trying to take notes, but I have so many questions now, Karim. Oh my goodness. So a lot of people, you talked about why am I here and defining your purpose. And a lot of people are on this hamster wheel. They feel like, okay, I took 2 steps forward. Now I'm 10 steps back. You know, this same concept that you just, it's happened to me a time or 3. And what that same advice that you just provided, that could apply to them, you know, about defining your purpose and your vision that dictates your education, managing your money properly, just taking an assessment of all the things that you can do that will help you get to your destination.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So true. Yes. I love that. That default, not design, you know, default versus design. And I look at it and I say one word, be intentional, because when you design something, you are being intentional about what you're designing. Right. So I love that.
Absolutely.
And you hit the nail on the head talking about relationships. You know, this year in 2021, I'm not allowing anyone into my life that doesn't serve purpose in my life, period. It's not happening. You know, I've spent a lot of time on useless relationships that did not produce any kind of fruit. And that's just not happening anymore going forward. I'm a new me walking into the new year. So thank you.
I love it
so much.
You're welcome. Let me add something in about relationships, because this is something I've seen dominate my social media feed about folks upset about the unveiling of people in 2020. Because one of the things I love about 2020, I say 2020 is the year of perfect vision. And a lot of people go, now, how can that be as bad as 2020 was? Well, if you go to any ophthalmologist office and get an eye exam, they're going to tell you perfect vision when you walk out is 2020 vision, right? That's the best vision a human being can have. We're not talking about cyborgs. We're not talking about leap to the future. The best vision you and I can have is 2020. Hence the word 2020, the year 2020. So I tell people 2020 is the year of perfect vision, because currently I wear contacts. And the issue being is without these contacts in, I squint because I'm farsighted. Some folks are nearsighted. But when I go to my doctor and he gives me the eye exam, the whole purpose is to, number one, identify the stigmatism in my life on what's keeping me from seeing things clearly, and then give me a prescription to walk forward with 2020 vision. So if you made it through the year 2020 and you're watching this broadcast right now, number one, congratulations. You escaped the Jumanji game. But number two, let me be clear to you. If you didn't walk out of 2020 understanding what areas of your life you're nearsighted in, that could be your finances. A lot of people thought their money was strong until the government shut everything down with 3 months in a virus, and folks are waiting around for a $1,200 stimulus check, right? A lot of people thought that they were farsighted. They thought they could see things clearly. To the job said, regardless of your degree or two, you were deemed non-essential, and you were off work temporarily for the next 6, 8, 9, 12 months. Some folks ain't even went back to work yet. Facts about it, we got folks right now that's struggling to pay their rent, struggling to pay their mortgage. We know relationships and divorces that are all-time high, because I love you, you love me. But as long as I wasn't seeing you for 8 hours a day and I was doing my thing, you was doing your thing, we was cool. But we stuck under the same roof for 24 hours straight. And I didn't realize how much you got on my last nerve. So one of the things I tell people, 2020 is the year of perfect vision, meaning when you came out of 2020, you should have a better idea and concept of where you're nearsighted in your life and where you're farsighted. And if you take that prescription and apply it, make it known. If a doctor gives me a prescription for contacts, I still have to do the due diligence and be willing to put the contacts in my eye so I can see clearly. A prescription means nothing if I don't utilize it in my life. That means if I'm talking about a new me in 2021, I got to take the lessons learned last year with clearer vision, which lets me know where my weak parts are and what I need to adjust or get rid of as we walk into 2021. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Yes. What is your purpose for 2021? Yes. I love that.
That's awesome. So let's transition and talk about your book, GPS My Success, and where the viewers and the listeners can purchase it, Karim, and all of that good stuff. And Sasha, if you have questions as well, go for it.
Okay, I have one last question because I did go down a Karim Ellis rabbit hole on your YouTube page.
I love it.
Let's be honest. Like, I'm going to research people. I'm going to do things.
I got you.
I saw this video 6 years ago. I believe it was posted. And it was, "Is That Relationship for You?" I believe that was the title of it.
Yes, I remember that.
Love that title.
Twyla, that was amazing.
I need to
thank you.
So because this is a relationship show, talking about singleness and marriage and transitioning from divorce or transitioning into a relationship, if you would please, can you give the listeners and viewers a snippet?
A snippet. Now, let me get this clear because I got a couple videos on there. So we talking about the hard clay? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, the hard clay, and then
got you.
Try to mold it. Okay. Yes.
Listen, there are some times when I give messages, let me be real with you. There's some messages I'm giving. When I give those messages, I'm going through it in real time. Some messages I give, I'm going through that situation in real time. So a lot of times my healing comes forth on being able to take that concept and deliver it in such a way that folks grasp it. So one of the things I talked about as a child growing up is one of the staples in my household is I used to play with Play-Doh all the time. And we know Play-Doh comes in many different colors, right? We know we can't eat Play-Doh, even though it's non-toxic. But one of the things you had to do with your Play-Doh when you was done with it, you'd have to put it back in the canister and secure the lid. Because if you failed to do that, if you left that lid cracked or left that lid off, that Play-Doh would have hardened overnight. And the problem with hardened Play-Doh is it cannot be re-softened. So I remember talking to my mom saying, "Mom, I left the lid off the Play-Doh. Can I get some more?" My mother said, "No, we're not buying no more. You got to put some water on that Play-Doh and soften it up." And I remember drenching this Play-Doh in water and it wouldn't soften up. It was hard. It was dry. To begin to get cracks inside of it from all the moisture being drawn out. And what I said is when you deal with people, you want to deal with people that are moldable. You want to deal with people who are moldable. One of the biggest problems I had is I would engage in relationships with people that were 100% unmoldable. They were locked in their mindset and their concepts of how the world works, how finances work, how entrepreneurship works, how the business world works, how spirituality works. And more importantly, since they're unmoldable, there's nothing I can do with that individual except for one thing. Take that clay and toss it in the garbage. The issue being for those of us in 2021, where you sitting there with unmoldable clay, you know full and well you can't soak this person's mindset. You can't change their viewpoint. They locked in stone. They're not willing to bend. They're not willing to break. They're not willing to be reshaped. Or as scripture says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The question you got to ask yourself is, number one, why am I still holding on to this? Because the longer it takes up space in my cupboard, that means there's no room for new Play-Doh to be introduced into my lifestyle. And number two, where's my local garbage can at? Because I got to chuck it and move on with my life. For anyone in 2021 that's got some hard, dried out Play-Doh, make a decision. One of the most powerful things I learned was learn how to close doors. Learn how to close doors.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that. Like, that one touched me. I was like, oh my goodness, so much.
Woo.
That was so amazing.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that one. Ooh,
if that was just a snippet, I need to go look at the entire video. That was awesome. Yes.
Yeah, that channel's being reformatted. So we got a lot of stuff. That's it. That channel's being reformatted. So we got a lot of stuff going up between this week and next week. So there's a lot of stuff hitting that channel in the next 7 to 14 days. So it's going to be a lot of messages, very, very similar to that. But that's powerful, because think about how many times we've held onto something longer than its expiration date. Let's be real. We've held on something longer than its expiration date, and somehow we're trying to make it usable. And we know all the signs are there. We can't do anything with it, right? But we're hoping against hope. If I just moisturize the mindset of this person, I can just bend them a little bit. And they just stubborn and still and not willing to go along with the game plan. You got to let them go. You absolutely got to let them go.
Gotta go. Yes. Love it.
It has been a pleasure, Karim. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Yes. The listeners and viewers are being inspired, empowered, informed, and encouraged right now, because that's what Talks with Twyla is all about. So let's transition and talk about your book and where they can pick a copy up and read this amazing book. I can't wait to get my copy.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll give a quick synopsis real fast, and I'll tell them how we can knock this thing out. So if they want to get a copy of it and change the trajectory of the 2021, I got them covered, right? So number one, the book is called GPS My Success, with this handsome guy on the cover, right? And the reason why we said earlier GPS, because GPS is a vision machine. They can pick up the book at Amazon.com by typing in Karim R. Ellis, Karim Ellis, or search for GPS My Success. We cover 5 core principles in the book. Number one, you got to set the address. You got to know where you're going. GPS is useless till we know where to go. Number two, I want you to move with clarity. The more clear you are about where you're going, the easier it is for you to make the track towards your success. And most importantly, recognize opportunity. Think of how many times we missed out on opportunities only because we weren't clear that was an opportunity for me, right? Number three, we got to be properly connected, meaning a GPS works on a Wi-Fi connection. As long as I connected, I can go anywhere I want to go. So who are the coaches, mentors, organizations, application of education, who, what, and where are the things I need to be connected with in this season to get me to my finish line? And more importantly, who, what, and where are my dead zones? Meaning if I have a Wi-Fi signal hit a dead zone, I drop my signal, I drop my call, or my GPS stops working, and I'm literally walking around or driving around blind. So who, what, and where are the dead zones from 2020 that you have inadvertently decided to bring with you into 2021? Meaning your job, your peers, your family, your friends, those rock hard clay relationships are not moldable. All those are dead zones that are slowing you down. Number four, we got to be willing to recalculate. And to recalculate, I simply mean one key thing. If you put an address in the GPS and you figure out that you made a wrong turn, or the road is out, or the road is blocked off, you understand the GPS is going to recalculate multiple different ways to get to your finish line. So if you are stuck like Chuck in the season, you can't figure out where to go, or it looks like a dead end, are you willing enough to release your mindset to recalculate, understand there's more than one way to get to your finish line. There's more than one way to create money. There's more than one way to get that business where you want that business to be at. And last but not least, I invite all the listeners to check your history log, meaning simply this. If I were to ask you for your life's GPS, just so I can take a look at the history log is going to give me a rundown of every address you have put inside that GPS since you first bought it. I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm not talking about last week. I'm not talking about a month ago, 2 months ago. I'm talking about when you bought it, every address you put inside is chronologically locked inside the history log. So if I take a look at your history log, it'll tell me where you've been spending the majority of your time. The question being, is your history log full of addresses designed to take you to your destination, your fantastic finish, your dynamic destiny? Or have you been cheating on your goals and dreams because you've been putting everyone else's address inside your GPS, which means you've been spending the majority of your time chasing everybody else's goals and dreams? Powerful, powerful concepts. Very powerful. Absolutely.
Wow. That's awesome. Amazing. Wow.
I move fast.
I love it.
Yes.
Yes. Love your energy. I'm all about that. So yes. So Karim, it has been a pleasure and an honor, and we don't want to take up too much of your time today, but we are very grateful to have you on Talks with Twyla as a guest. And this episode will drop on January 28th. And I can't wait for the people to hear this. This is going to be powerful and inspire so many people to walk into the new you in 2020.
I love it. One more thing I want to add, because January 27th is my birthday, right? And so since you guys are dropping this the day after my birthday, I want to share my birthday with all of your tribe and followers. So what I'm going to do is this, because my birthday is on the 27th, for the first 27 people that watch this, and now I have my assistant cut this off at 27. I'm not playing. I'm going to cut it off at 27. For the first 27 people that sees this and they shoot me a DM on Instagram with their email address, I'll have my assistant send out an ebook version of GPS My Success. But it's only going to be for the first 27 people. If you're 28, 29, I'm so sorry. You got to go to Amazon.com, right? You got to go to Amazon. But for the first 27, I got you. My assistant to shoot you over a copy of the book in e-format with the hopes that it helps you walk into this brand new 2021 season where you're not only designed to thrive, you're designed to dominate. And if you take these principles, you hear these powerful words.
You have arrived at your destination.
Oh, yes.
Y'all weren't ready for that mic drop.
Well, we definitely will post that information for the first 27 on the flyer and the post that will drop on next week. And the first 27 people will be blessed. Will be blessed.
Yes. That's the goal. That is the goal.
So, Sasha, what do you have as we wrap up?
I've asked all of my questions to Karim. Like I said, my book is in transit and I can't wait to get it. I know there's going to be so many more gems and nuggets within the book that will apply to not only my life, but I look forward to sharing the book and convincing other people to get it as well. Because I know many people who have maybe put in the wrong address to reach their destination. Or like you said, they may be so focused on putting in someone else's address into their GPS and it's still they're off their route. So I can't wait for the book. And I thank you again for lending us your time and being on this podcast today.
I love it. I love it. It's an honor or privilege. And like I said before, it's a pleasure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining and you have a wonderful day and happy early birthday.
Yay.
We're only as young as we feel, right? So we're knocking these 40s out. All right. All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
What a great show! You can catch Talks with Twyla and Sasha at all available major podcast platforms. Until next time, a brighter day is coming with Talks with Twyla and Sasha R out.